Please, at any moment, provide feedback, stop us as we're going. You probably will anyway, but that's perfectly okay. So I'm going to assume that you guys know what Lijit is, but I'm going to go through it very quickly. What Lijit is a search application for your publication, so your online publication, that takes all of your social content, collects it, adds some trusted sources, makes it searchable. So if I was Robert Scoble and you went to Robert Scoble's blog to search on his kid, Milan, you would see that a box would open, blog would open up. If you looked at his content, you would see YouTube videos, Flickr, blah, 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 right? The idea here is that it's much more contextual and relevant because we're talking about his kid, not Milan, Italy. Get that? The other thing that we do, which is pretty interesting, is that if you're part of a network, or even not, we have this thing here that's this little search cloud, which is popular searches. It turns out that cloud will generate 2 to 5 times the amount of searches on your blog or publication. So it really drives searcher behavior. The other thing that becomes interesting is that when somebody does click on it, and they decide that they don't really want what's on the blog, but they're interested in what's in the channel, about 25% of people click on a result that doesn't go back to the originating blog. So what Lijit ends up doing is it drives cross-promotional traffic. So if you have a blog network and you have kind of a lead blog, it'll drive traffic to all the other blogs, and people will discover content they may not have found before. All right? Second part. Part number 3. If you're at Google and you do a search, in this case Seth Godin, and you happen to click on a result through Seth Godin, here comes Seth Godin's little site, right? You guys know this one? And then as you go through it, you'll notice that at the very bottom of his post, this little box opens up right here. It talks about related content from Seth's network, right? So what we found is that most people, when they do a search from Google and go to publication, the next button they press is the back button to Google. What we found is by doing this, about 2.5% of the people continue on through the network. Again, increasing page views, all that kind of fun stuff. The third thing that we do, and the final thing, or the fourth thing is technically, is we provide you stats. So this is Brad Feld's stats from Feld.com. And you'll see that over the last 30 days, he had about 2,000 searches. And what's really interesting is that we actually tell you what searches returned no results. So in this case, a bunch of people are searching for board of directors compensation. So Brad can read that and say, okay, maybe I need to write something about that. Or about Zynga MySpace poker tournament. That's probably what he's into. Or thirdly, angel financing, which I think is a good one for him to write as well. It tells you last searches, where they're from, gives you little pretty things. But in essence, what it does is it helps you understand what your readers want, so you're able to provide better content, which again should be more contextual, more relevant, etc. So that's what Lijit has been doing. Any questions so far? Yes, sir.
How do you know what percent of people go back to Google? Do you have access to Google's search stats?
Because most analytics programs will give you an exit path. So you can determine the percentage of exit by what they call now a bounce rate. So if you look up Use It, for example, Jacob Nielsen, he has a great article today about bounce rates and how they're increasing when they don't come off of the top page. Anyone else? Yeah. Okay. So the next thing. So the question then becomes, how do we make money, right? That's the big question. And so that is what we're beginning to answer. And we hired a fellow by the name of Dave Ferro, who's in charge of how we make money. So I want to
Certainly no pressure in that. When you got a minute. And I got 1 minute. Perfect. What we're going to be doing in this first pass is, the notion is we want to be able to monetize our search. You know, we have the belief that we provide better contextual search for individual blog publishers. And so what we want to be able to do is take to the next step and monetize it both for us and for our publishers. So what we're going to be doing is presenting ads along the top and along the right sidebar. And as you'll see right now in our kind of pre-alpha, we're in QA of our pilot program right now. We've been running ads by Google. You know, there's a search for a BlackBerry on Todd Vernon, our CEO's blog. The next step is to not just run secondary ad network ads, but then also sell our own. So we have broken our publishers down into I believe we have 18 categories at this point in time, and we will add more information about those categories or networks of publishers as we learn more about our publisher base. The publishers, or excuse me, potential advertisers will be able to click on this link here that says Learn More. Well, we'll give you some stats about each network. So how many publishers we have from each network, what kind of page views they get, how many searches are being conducted, what the click-through rate is on the search results in those networks. And then the last piece, and like I said, we're in a demo, we're in a QA right now, so we have no data to show anybody, but we'll be able to tell the publishers what's going on their sites as far as the advertising and monetization. So the number of searches, the number of impressions that will be driven by the number of searches, clicks, click-through rates, what your effective CPM is, and most importantly, what their earning is at the end of the day. Now, one of the things we're sensitive to is not putting ads on somebody's site or on somebody's search results that they don't want there. So there will be a list of the domains that have been ads have been served to that search result page for. So the blog publisher will have the ability to block that domain from ever appearing on their search result pages again. And then in another page, we'll actually have the ability to proactively enter in the domain that you do not want to have prepared.
I'm being blocked from cutting him off.
So the last part, and right before we get to questions, I'm going to ask the question first, is that the bloggers in the room and the people that do publications and make a little money off of that, how important is it to have a system that generates not only better search results and information for your readers, but also potentially can generate you more money than just slapping in some Google AdSense or something basic? Any feedback from that? Yes, sir.
I think before you ask that question, to me, there's kind of a conflict of interest here where now you're allowing people to come in and, to me, the cool thing about Lijit is that those search results are legit. They're the most kind of, relevant thing that you're looking for. And now you're allowing people to open the door to go against that.
No, well, again, the only place there'll be ads is across the top and across the side. So there's no difference than if you go to Google. Right? The results will still be just as good as they've always been.
How so? I mean, I guess
Because
when I
these, no ads. This, ads.
On Google, I'm usually searching for something very general that maybe a lot of people are going to have because it's Google indexing.
Right.
You guys index a little tiny piece of the internet. And
Correct.
it's very legitimate.
Correct.
How many ads are really going to be relevant? And it's also going to be very cheap to advertise there.
Right.
So it's going to be very easy for people to make your information not legit.
Well, so it's a good point, right? So the reality is that the results will always be exactly as they are today. They'll continue to be highly contextual, highly relevant, highly important to you, and more importantly, highly important to the reader, right? Because they're more contextual, more relevant, and because the ad opportunity is less than a Google, these ads should also be more contextual and more relevant. Advertisers that come in are going to be vetted just like anyone else. You're not going to see ads for, horse porn over here. Right?